Viewer discretion is advised. In no way do I promote or advocate the use of methamphetamine or any illicit drugs. They are dangerous substances and should always be avoided. These stories are intended for informational purposes only. Story number 1, Shooting the Devil by Lala Rama. I told him to only inject half of what he had in the syringe. I'm so sensitive to speed and I already had so much in my system. He tried injecting the full thing and I pushed the needle away as I lost the ability to breathe and stumbled onto the bed. I couldn't breathe for what seemed like hours, but was probably a few seconds. Here come the cold sweats. The air conditioner was on at 66 degrees and I was sweating my ass off. I was clenching my jaw and biting my nails to the bone. My eyes were still too scary to look at people with. I was too uncomfortable to be active and too inactive to be comfortable. I started with illusions, spiders everywhere, regular objects turning into cameras, random objects getting wavy, bottled water breathing, people in the windows, shadows moving, horrible short nightmares of the cops and people with guns coming in and shooting at me. I was no longer euphoric. Story number 2 by Bongload. What the hell was I thinking? I started to see clear outlines of people everywhere. I went kind of like Predator when he goes invisible in the movie. I knew this was a bad sign. Things started to get real weird. Liquid smoke was filling my whole field of vision, and I remember the outlined people getting more vivid. They would smile at me with these evil faces and wave and shit. It was scary as hell. I would be having a conversation with somebody and realize I was totally alone. Lots of times I would find myself chasing imaginary intruders out of my yard. I would see people plain as day, and then when I got up close, they would be a chair or lawn ornament. A lot more things happened I can't even explain, like hands touching me all over. I am posting this report to warn anybody who suffers from mental illness, be careful what they put in your body. Story number 3 by Tweakadork. The next thing I felt was having the chills. The walls were melting, and through the walls were painted a plain off-white. It suddenly had vague patterns of shadows of things I could not make out, which floated and moved. The floral pattern on the curtains started to move and float. I pulled the drapes. The sunlight blinded me. I looked at my hairy arms. The hair moved like sea anemone in a light current. My skin looked like it had tiny bugs crawling underneath it. My palms were so white, I thought I looked pale, but was too helpless to look at the mirror to see. Besides, my perception was so twisted by now it would not have mattered. Story number 4 by Natus. Some drugs aren't meant for everyone. I looked over at my cats, who happened to be fighting, and out of nowhere they started shouting obscenities at each other. My face had a look of shock upon it as I realized this wasn't something that happened to other people with such small amounts. By this time, the glowing had intensified greatly, and everything around me was a different color than usual, and many things were shooting sparks and rays of light. There was a shadow of another person constantly next to mine who kept whispering random words in my ear. I could no longer breathe without consciously making myself do it, so I spent every few seconds remembering to breathe for fear I would die. I walked to the bathroom to splash some water on my face, which was very hot, and there was a man pointing to the light switch with enthusiasm, as if waiting for me to turn it on. I couldn't even see myself in the mirror because it had turned white. I was worried, but I did not panic because I didn't feel any different than when I was normally on meth. I was just hallucinating. I continued to have many hallucinations that would take forever to list, and I became worried that I may end up schizophrenic when the drug wears off. The only blessing in disguise I had was that when I realized I was unable to sleep for obvious reasons, I just stopped making myself breathe, and within a minute or two I was unconscious. I considered the fact that doing this may kill me, but I figured that when I fell asleep my body would return to breathing automatically, and thankfully I was right. Story number 5, Numbness, Hallucination, Paranoia by Chris. I started hallucinating really intense. The top of my body and my face had gotten really red and it felt like I was getting a high temperature. At first I thought it was the best feeling in the world, sitting in bed watching the wall doing waves. Shadows and lights were really doing weird things. A bug flying on the blue TV screen looked a lot like an eagle flying slowly inside my TV. Wings were very detailed. Cigarette smoke curled in the air, took the shape of the mask of Scream, off of Scream. At the same time all this was happening, I still had a sense of reality, but the later it got, the more reality slipped away. And the last things I remember was looking at my wrist and saying something like, "Damn, where's the dope monster? He's supposed to come and see me for the party. He's late." Okay, so I hope you all enjoyed my first attempt at storytelling. like I mentioned at the beginning, this is by no means um, this is by no means meant to advocate or celebrate the use of methamphetamine or drugs. They are illicit and illegal substances, and they can be very dangerous to use. I found these short stories online. I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Bye.